Hey everyone. Hey everyone. I hope you can see me live and you're able to hear me clearly. Um, Please update me if you are not able to hear me. Maybe type in the chat. Hello. No. If you ran out of dog food, you cannot feed cat food temporarily. Please, two different genre, two different type of food. You definitely can't do that. So I think we'll give it a few more minutes for a few people to join in, and then we can get started. Maybe you're able to see it on Facebook. Hey, I'll give me a quick second. I'll initiate a live link. Hey, sorry, I'm back, and I think we can get started. So, hi everyone, my name is Saurav Roy. I'm a pet parent for 5 dogs. I got my first pet after marriage, and it's been 7 years that have been doing this. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but here's one of my dogs sleeping behind me, and I've got another one sleeping just behind the camera or the mobile. And in today's session, what I want to do is help you out with a few tips and tricks that I've learned over the last 7 years of being a dog father. So that's the intention. I do have a YouTube channel. I've kind of put that in the URL there, where I do a lot of videos, 3 videos a week, where I give tips and tricks that I've learned as a pet father. And some of the tips and tricks have got good reviews, and I'm going to share them with you all today. I'll just put in a quick comment on what are the topics that we'll talk about today. And you can see how it goes, right? So I'm sure the first tip that I want to talk about is something that everybody of you have a problem with, or most of you. Some of you might have cracked the code, but if you have not, I'll give you one simple hack for that. And that's about how to feed tablet to your dogs. I'm sure all of you have different techniques of doing it. So if you all want to take a time and add comments on how you feed tablet to your dogs, please go ahead. Let me read some of them, and then I'll give you my one hack that will solve all your problems going forward about feeding tablet to your dogs. You don't need to think about the size of the tablet. That one trick will help you feed tablets to them every time. So if anybody wants to go ahead and comment on, how you guys feed tablet to your dogs, let's see some of the tricks that you use. Okay, so KU is saying with milk, dissolve with it. Okay. What do other of you or other people do? So mixing with doggo tricks, that's a very good trick out. So come on, guys, give me some more examples of that you do. I'll share one or two funny tricks that my friends does, and then I'll give you that one hack that you don't have to do mixing or dissolving anymore. Okay, so not many people are participating, but that's fine. I'll give you a quick update. So generally, one of my friends, what he does is, his dog likes to jump and catch tablets or kibbles. So while he's feeding that, throwing the kibbles, one of them he just throws the tablet in, hoping that the dog or his kid will eat it. But I'm sure most of you realize that dissolving it, mixing it, is not a foolproof trick. Deccan Cat Club, open the mouth and put it in. Okay, you already know the hack. So but mixing, dissolving is not a foolproof trick, because your dogs can feel taste. If any of you are thinking that dogs don't have taste buds, you're wrong. They have about 1700 taste buds, so they can understand tablet taste. So the best way to do it is it's a few steps, and you can go into my YouTube and see a demonstration where I've done it with my 3 dogs. But the best way to do it is make them sit. You go behind them, open their mouth, put the tablet back right at the back of their throat, close the mouth. When they take a gulp, their tongue will come out, and you are done. The size of the tablet doesn't matter. How bitter it is doesn't matter, because you're shoving it back at their mouth. It's fine, right? Would any of you want to see a demonstration of how it's done? I am not going to do a demonstration if I don't see a lot of people waving and asking for it. So if you all want to see a demonstration of how it's done, yes, the same thing goes for cats also. So let me wake my kid up, and show you all how it's done. For this one, I will use a normal kibble and kind of do that. Ollie, come here, here, if you can see, right? In this case, he's not sitting, he's lying, that's fine. I go back up, put this back right at the back of his tablet, and close the mouth. You see the tongue came out? It's done. It's done. As long as you do that way and the tongue comes out, it's done. It's gone inside. That's the simple trick that you can use, and you don't have to worry about mixing it, dissolving it. Some friends of mine, take a banana, put it inside the banana, and then try to feed that. Some of them try to take a meatball, put it inside and do that. If you're following this trick, you don't have to do that at all. You don't have to worry about feeding tablets to your dogs anymore. Did you like this hack? Go ahead and type it in the chat if you like this hack. Then I'll give you a few more of them. So I do see quite a few people joining in. So just to kind of update for the new joinees, we just covered a topic about how to feed tablet to your dogs. If you want to see that more, please go ahead to my YouTube channel. My user ID is Moksh0241, MOKSH0241, where I do videos on different hacks, tips, tricks for how to be a better pet parent, and things that I've doing it is based on my experience being a pet parent for 7 years. I have got 5 dogs, 2 huskies, 1 Lhasa Apso, 1 beagle, and a German Shepherd and Indie mix. I have adopted 1, rescued 1, and bought a few. So that's how it is. Size A, what kind of foods you're giving to my dogs daily? I give them kibble, and I also give them chicken soup, and I'll talk about that. That's one of the things that I'm going to talk about it. And I'll also tell, if you are a vegetarian, which a lot of my viewers on YouTube tell me, and sort of you're talking about mostly chicken and stuff. What do you do if I'm a vegetarian? So I'll talk about that also. That's one of the tips and tricks I'm going to talk about. So at this point of time, we kind of covered the tip, the trick, the hack about feeding a tablet to your dog, right? The next one is on the same line, is how do you feed liquid syrups to your dog, right? So the intention of the next tip is to kind of talk about how would you feed a liquid syrup or a medicine, liquid medicine to your dogs. Before you do that, you have to understand a few psychological things about liquid medicines. Right? Most liquid medicines that are available currently, most manufacturer, they ensure that the medicines, the taste of the liquid medicines are palatable to a dog. So most often than not, you don't have to shove it in their mouth, or pour it in the mouth. You don't have to do that, because they try to make it as palatable as possible. You could just give it in a bowl and have them lick it out. The problem happens is when your dogs don't want to lick it from the bowl. That's when what you call as, you kind of need to have a technique of how to put the liquid into their mouth, and that technique is pretty much using a syringe and then pushing it through the side of the mouth between the teeth. You can do that slowly, and that's the best way of feeding liquid syrup to your dogs if they are not licking it directly. The recommendation would be, try giving it to them in a bowl or a cup and have them lick directly. But if they don't want to do that, then that's the trick. Use an injection and kind of put it side of the mouth. Does anybody have any questions that they would want to add a comment on for this one? Okay, who would want to see a demo of this? I'm going to torture my poor kid again, but it's not technically torture. This is omega-3 syrup, so they generally get it every day, but today I did not give it to him because I wanted to kind of do that live demo with you all. But if you are interested and kind of say yes, then I'll do this. Okay, United Pet Store, what to do if your dog is not eating proper food in winters? We will talk about that during winters. Sometimes that happens, and we'll talk about that. That is also one of the topics that I have in mind to talk about. So while people are joining, Keo did ask me a question about what to do during Diwali. Crackers, Keo, it's not just your dog. Almost every dog does that. They are scared of crackers. The only solution for you is to ensure you find a safe place where they can sit and feel secure in, and shut off all windows and everything so that they can't hear the sound. You have to keep them in a place where they feel secure in. My dog Pug is rubbing his face and cutting it. Please trim the nails and go to a vet to understand why they are itching their face. It might be an infection, it could be a rash, understand that, but trim the nails, because if they are scratching and cutting it out, that means the nails definitely need to be trimmed. Okay, so kind of to show you all how to feed liquid medicines to your dog if they are not willing to lick it from the bowl. So here's a quick trick, and poor Ollie, he's sleeping, but let me come on boy, okay. So here's the trick. Now generally when you do this, I recommend you keep a little plate below, because some of them might fall down. So here we go, and as you can see, slowly, steadily you might not be able to complete the entire syringe at one go, so you take turns. You do that once, again you go back, open this. So, simple hack: side of the mouth, lift the cheeks up and pour it from that. As you pour it, they will see that you will see that the tongue keeps going in and out. That means they are drinking it. This is a simple trick of how you should feed liquid medicines to your dog. I definitely don't recommend pouring it down their throat because they can choke on that. It's the same thing if you quickly, for humans, if you quickly take a gulp of water, you might choke. It's the same thing there with them also. So don't ever kind of pour it down their mouth. The way we taught or just showed about how to feed tablets, that technique does not work for feeding liquids. Using a syringe is the best way if they are not eating it on their own. So any questions or any thing that you all would want to share about feeding tablets or liquids to your kids? Okay, so in that case we'll kind of move over to the next topic, right? The next tip that I want to talk about, or it's not exactly a tip, but what I wanted to kind of educate, understand from all of you is that I'm sure you all have seen a scenario where your dog is chasing its tail round and round. How many of you have faced that when your dog is doing that? When your dog keeps chasing the tail round and round. Do you know why they do that? I know a lot of people find that cute. There are a lot of Insta reels that happens. The dog is going round and round. Some of them like, have you seen this guy, this bullshit guy, and so on. But what? Do you know why that happens? Okay, 1 second. I think Deep Roj, you just talked about if you put the tablet directly in the dog's throat, she vomits it out. The trick to that, which you just showed, is that when you put the tablet at the back of the mouth, you don't just put it and leave it. You put it, you close the mouth, right? You close the mouth, and when they take a gulp, the tongue comes out. If that happens, they will not vomit it out. So just to kind of redo that, because you do not see, poor guy, Ollie is my experiment boy. This is a kibble. I take this, put it right at the back of the mouth, and I close it. See, the tongue came out. That's it. They will not vomit it out if that happens, right? But if you just put it and leave it, they will vomit out, right? So that's the trick. Put it, keep the mouth locked till the tongue comes out. Tongue comes out means they have gulped it, sorted. And the size of the tablet doesn't matter at all. With this trick, whether it's a small tablet or big tablet, doesn't matter. My husky, he's 7 years old, about 35 kgs, so the size is almost this big. I use this trick, it goes in without any problem. Right. Size AAA, that's a good question. Let's keep it for the end. I want to open it up for more like a ask me anything, where you can ask me and I'll come to that for sure. My tip and trick would be based on what I do with my kids, and we'll talk about that. But now going back to the topic that we were talking about is a dog chasing its tail, right? I'm sure you all have seen that. You feel it's funny, but it is not. The first and foremost reason why they do that is because they have got excess energy. Them doing that is basically them trying to find a way to play to remove that excess energy that they have. Keep in mind, most dogs have more energy than humans. Right? When you let them run, you can see the speed that they run with. You will not be able to match that. They have a lot of energy, and it is very important that you exercise your dogs, your kids regularly to ensure those excess energy is depleted. So when you see your dogs running behind the tail, first and foremost reason is that they're bored, they need exercise. So if you're not exercising them enough, you will see this on a frequent basis. It's a cue for you to exercise them. And it's a myth that you need to exercise them physically. Sometimes, or most often, if you give them mental exercise also, it depletes the physical energy. Just giving them an exercise of finding you, you hide in some place and ask them to find you, by the act of them trying to sniff around and all that, it kind of is make them tired. That's the term I was thinking of. It makes them tired. So it's not necessary that you have to give them physical exercise. It is obviously recommended, but to deplete the excess energy, you can also give them mental exercises. You have different toys available in the market where you kind of put a food into the toy, lock the toy, and let them play around with it. Their task is to ensure that they can somehow be able to get that food out and eat it within the toy. To do that, it takes a lot of mental exercise, mental stimulation. That will also tire them out. It's the same thing with humans. One of the things that we pet parents have to understand is that most of the things we do for humans is kind of the same psychology for dogs. If you have a lot of stress at work, you will feel tired, right? It's the same thing with dogs. If you give them a lot of mental stimulation exercises, they will feel tired. It will deplete their energy, right? So if a dog is chasing its tail on a frequent basis, point number one, if you're not exercising them enough, give them exercise. If you are exercising them enough, you're taking them out for twice a day and all of that, then check the tail to see if there is some kind of an infection or a rash. If you identify any red patches, if you touch it and this, they shriek out, they bark, they feel pain, then go to a vet, because it could very well be a medical concern, right? So these are technically generally the two reasons why they might be chasing the tail. The most common, frequent, is that they are bored, have excess energy, and not been exercised enough. Does anybody have any other I'm sure most of you pet parents have faced this. Do you have, or have you watched any other behavior or reason of why they chase their tail? If you have, then please go ahead and put it in the comment, because it will be good for me also to learn, because this session is not about me telling you what to do. It's also about me learning from you. And we are all pet parents here, and this is a learning opportunity for all of us. So if you all have watched a different reason why your dog keeps chasing its tail, please put it in the comments. And for those who are joining in just now, I just want to cover that we covered two topics. One was two tips or tricks or hacks about feeding tablet to your dogs, and then how to feed liquid medicine to your dogs, provided they are not taking it directly from the bowl. And the trick to feeding tablet was making them sit, opening their mouth, shoving the tablet right at the back of their throat, closing the mouth, waiting them to take a gulp. When they take a gulp, the tongue comes out, and that's it, done. The size of the tablet doesn't matter. If you do this trick, you don't have to dissolve, you don't have to mix the food, you don't have to grind the tablet, you don't have to do anything like that. For feeding liquid medicines, if they are not willing to take it from the bowl, put it through the side of their mouth using a syringe, go slow, and they will lick it up. Okay, the next thing we will talk about very quickly is, and I'm sure this is a behavior every pet parent has seen, is before your dogs goes to sleep, they start scratching the bed, digging and scratching the bed, right? If your kid is sleeping with you on the bed, I'm sure because of this behavior, they must have torn a lot of bed sheets, pillow covers, and if that is happening, then there is nothing abnormal about this behavior. It's just a natural instinct that dogs have, and they do that is because dogs were at one point of time wild animals, and this trend is even followed by wild animals. If you see them, if you go in Discovery and channel and the videos, when any animal is about to sleep, they kind of dig the area up so that it can make it warm and make it secure, and then kind of cuddle down there. So that's the same mentality. It's a instinct that has been born for ages within a dog. So that's the reason they kind of dig and scratch the place before they're going to sleep. Nothing to worry about. It's just natural instinct. Somebody just typed saying that their dog is vomiting today. If that is a scenario, please take them to a vet. Don't wait for this video to for me to tell you why it is happening. I am not a vet. Those kind of scenario, please go to a vet. But if you are concerned, watch. Thing is, if it happened once, sometimes it could be something they ate and it came out, so vomiting was good. But if it is happening a lot frequently, please go to a vet right away. If it happened once, you can always give them more water to drink and it's fine. But if it is happening more than once, go to a vet. Why are tails docked? What if my puppy swallows a calcium bone after it gets wet without chewing? If your puppy swallows a calcium bone after, without chewing, it's fine, no problem. Why are tails docked? I will keep a note of it and will answer that. Okay, you know what? Let me answer it to you. It's a stupid mentality that people have or breeders have about tail docking. In today's world, it's all about show. Tail docking and ear clipping were done at a particular age, about in the 80s and all that, for a particular reason. People at that time, when they bought Dobermans, Spaniels and all that, they were used more to guard the house and not be a family member, right? Docking a tail basically allows the dog, or let's say if you have a robber coming at your home, right? And if your dogs bite at them, the best way to release that dog out is hold the tail and pull it out. When you dog the tail, you can't do that. So that way the dog is more effective against robber. That was the mentality for tails being dogged. Same for any breed where tails being dogged. Boxers, Dobermans, that was the mentality why it was there. Because in those times, dogs where people had big ranches, huge bungalows, they wanted dogs to protect it. And when a robber comes in and the dog attacks, catch the tail, pull it out. So na rahegi baas, na bajegi basuri, tails were dogged. Today's world, very few people have those kind of huge place and all of that. If you're getting a Cocker Spaniel or Doberman just as a family member, please don't dog their tail or clip their ear. It's the same logic. If you press the ear of your dog, they shout in pain. If a Rottweiler is biting and you twist the ear, what will happen? It will shout in pain, release the bite. Those were the different logic for tail cropping, ear clipping, which does not apply anymore. But it's a show. People think, breeders think, it's because demand and supply. People ask, hey, I want my boxes to be clipped, and breeders provide. But know the reason why it is done. It is no longer, that reason is no longer applicable today. That's the reason Kennel Club of India, Kennel Club of US, they have all banned this. It's no longer applicable. Sorry, I digressed, but people asking questions. So KU, you're talking about you have to change dog food or give the same. I would always recommend stick with dog food, but change it depending on the age. I know there were in rules, there was this Sunday or the previous 2 sessions that was covered from a dog standpoint, but you don't change dog food unnecessarily. Your dog has grown, right? There are different dog foods available for puppy, medium, adult. So you change based on that. But I know I'm digressing, but I think it's fun doing that. So the fact is, अगर आप इंसान को दाल रोज खिलाओगे, भाई बोर हो जाएगा ना. Why do you expect that? अगर मैं रोज मेरे बच्चे को कीबल खिलाऊंगा, उसको अच्छा लगेगा. And especially if you have given them food from your table, गलती से कभी अपने टेबल से पनीर या चिकन दे दिया, तो भैया चांस ही नहीं, आपने खून चगा दिया, राइट? अपने फूड पे, ह्यूमन्स फूड हैव सॉल्ट, आपने उनके लिए वो सोच लो खून है, चका दिया. Then why would they eat their kibble all the time? So what you need to do is mix and match, twist it around. So one of the topic that I was going to cover about was different food you can give to them and what you should include in that food. So let's jump to that. Generally what I do is twice a week or thrice a week we give kids chicken soup. If you are a vegetarian, you can remove the chicken out, make it a vegetable soup, add a little bit of roti or rice or paneer, fine. But don't go crazy with the vegetables. There are a few vegetables that are not good for them. The few vegetables are good. Carrot, beans, beet, good vegetables to give. So carrot, beans, beet, peas, good vegetables to give. Aloo, if you are giving very less quantity, lot of starch, not good. Onion, garlic, ginger, definitely no. So I generally stick with this four: carrot, beans, beet, peas. Cabbage is okay, but I have seen my dogs fart a lot with cabbage. And you definitely don't want, when you have 4 dogs and you're giving them chicken, the house will stink. So cabbage I don't give based on experience. But these are the standard food: carrot, beet, beans, peas. I add chicken. You can add paneer or rice. Make it into a soup. No salt, no sugar. Definitely no. And this is good, but there are a few health superfoods that you should add to your dog's palate. That is one, turmeric. Turmeric is an amazing ingredient for humans and for dogs. It comes with curcumin. It is anti-inflammatory, helps digestion, you know, antifungal, antimicrobial, works from inside. It's very good for humans, very good for dogs also. So you can add turmeric, but don't pour everything. A good tablespoon or a teaspoon, depending on, if in my case it's a tablespoon because 5 kids. If you have 1 teaspoon is fine. When you're adding turmeric, remember this, it is recommended you add a little bit of black pepper, because curcumin, for your body to absorb that better, you need piperine, which is a chemical that is available in black pepper. So a little bit of black pepper would be good when using turmeric, but if you don't want to, it's fine. The other thing that you should put is ashwagandha powder. You get that on Amazon, Flipkart. A teaspoon or a tablespoon depending on how many dogs. Put that in their food while cooking it. Ashwagandha again is anti-inflammatory. The best thing about ashwagandha is it releases anxiety, so good for dogs that way. Improves digestion, so ashwagandha definitely. And last but not the least, edible coconut oil. The term is edible, parachute nahi chalega. Edible coconut oil, if it is virgin and cold pressed, even better, but coconut oil is an amazing product. That's one of the things that I say is recommended for every pet parent's home, because you can feed that to them. It's antimicrobial. That means antimicrobial is basically antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral. You can feed them, it works from inside. If they have rash on the skin, you can apply topically also. Again, antimicrobial, so antibacterial, fungal, works great for all of those. If you apply coconut oil topically on top of the body, it repels ticks, fleas and all of that during summer. It's a great moisturizer. So during winters, dogs have problems with the skin becoming dry and flaky. You can apply coconut oil as a moisturizer even on their paws, because like humans, your paws crack during winters. The same thing happens for dogs, so you can use coconut oil there also. Coconut oil is good when consumed. So overall, that's a super liquid that you can have at home from a food standpoint. Sandy, you said what diet is best for full grown lab. It completely depends on you. I am not here to say that Drools is best, Royal Canin is best, Pedigree is best, Farmina is best. There is a lot of there, and every product that is available in the market has a different consistency, different ingredients used, ratio used, right? So not if there is nothing that Drools ही best है, Royal Canin ही best है, ये best है, nothing like that. Everything is best, and at the same time, nothing might work for you, right? It is you as pet parent who have to decide what you should give. There's also the matter of price. If you go for a very good high brand, the price would be higher, right? So the price also differs between all the brands that are out there. So you as a pet parent decide. My suggestion is research. Go online. Google is such a great platform. Go online, find out what is there in each of the products. Check with your vet based on your dog full grown what they need, and you should be good to identify the best thing that works for you. I am a proponent of giving them dry food. I don't give them wet food a lot because dry food is good, and giving them kibbles is very nice because generally all the manufacturers who make kibbles, they take into account the ingredient or the minerals, the vitamins that your dog's body requires. So it takes into that. So giving kibble is good. You can also add supplements like omega-3. There are different products out there in the market for that. And as I said, turmeric, ashwagandha, coconut oil works wonders. Okay, so I kind of ran through quite a few of the topics that I was going to cover in this one, but one of the things that I wanted to also talk about is winter. Winter is technically here. At least I stay in Shillong, Meghalaya. Winter is here. It's currently about 10 degrees or not. And in winters, your dogs tend to change a little bit. What do I mean by that? And this is one of the questions that was asked before, that their dog is lazy during winters. They don't want to do anything. They're not eating food. End of the day, dog is an animal. And winter is generally the time for hibernation, right? Most animals hibernate here. Now, dogs have been domesticated for such a long time, so they don't technically hibernate, but winter is considered a good season for dogs because that's the time when you will see, and vets will tell you, they don't see a lot of cases of sickness or all of that. Injury is a different scenario altogether. It can happen any season, but sickness, fleas, ticks don't happen in winters. So that's generally a season where your dog are healing. So you might see them less active. You might see them not eating food. It would depend on region of the place that you are in. Now, if you are in Chennai, winter in Chennai is technically still summer. So your dog might not see that. But if you're in Leh Ladakh, Shimla, even Meghalaya, winter is cold. It's cold, right? So depending on how they feel it, they might not want to eat food, be lazy, which is fine. This is natural. It's just that winter has that impact on dogs. It has the impact on humans. You all want to take Kambal and sleep more, no? Same concept, right? But if your dog is not eating 2 meals more than a day, then please take them to a vet. That is not because of winter. If they skip 1 meal, they eat the next, it's fine. But if they're skipping 2 meals, 3 meals, 4 meals, then take them to a vet, because that's not a winter reason. That might be something else altogether. Almond oils applying on skin is fine. It's not a problem. But I recommend, or I'm a huge proponent of coconut oil. So I recommend coconut oil because they are antimicrobial. So fungal infection, bacterial infection, viral infection, it takes care of all of that, helps on that. Vomiting solution, if it is vomiting once, dehydrate them, give them water, it's fine. You also have vomiting liquid syrups out there in the market. You can use that. But if they are vomiting a lot, please go to a vet. That's the solution. If your dog is vomiting 3 times, 4 times a day after eating something, take them to a vet. Don't give them tablets. Don't try to be a doctor at home. Take them to a vet. I think we're almost reaching our scheduled time. But another thing that I wanted to cover was what to do if, and I'm sure there's another common thing that happens regularly. I'm sure all of you have seen funny videos of dogs with swollen faces, right? When they got stung by an insect, a bee or a wasp. So what you should do in that kind of a scenario. So I wanted to cover that topic also. It's funny to see dogs with swollen faces, but if they're stung by an insect, you need to take some precaution and understand whether you should go to a vet or not. So assume they're stung by a bee or a wasp. If the stinger is still there in their mouth or whatever region, remove that out and apply ice. That's the first step that you should do. Remove that stinger out, apply ice. The swelling should subside and they should be fine. If it is bleeding or pussing, then visit a vet. Whenever your dogs get bitten by a bee, wasp, or an insect and the face swells up, you don't have to panic necessarily. You have to approach this entire thing methodically. And the way you would do that is remove the stinger out, apply ice, and see what happens. If the swelling reduces, you're fine. You don't need to go to a vet. But if you see a blood coming out, if you see it pussing, then please go to the vet. That's a simple, quick home trick that you can manage for them getting stung by an insect. I think a lot of people asking about vomiting. Maya, I already told about vomiting. If it is once, you can give them more liquids, water to drink, hydrate them. But if it is more than once, please go to a vet. Solution for Mangay in dogs: coconut oil is good, but please go to a vet because you need to identify what that Mangay is for. There are multiple different ticks out there, some visible, some invisible, some internal, like Demodex can happen. So what you need to do is go to a vet and let them tell you how best to deal with that. But you can always apply coconut oil. It is a good moisturizer. Kept on saying antimicrobial, takes care of fungal, viral, bacterial, those kind of scenarios. So coconut oil is good. But if the Mangay is generalized, what do I mean by generalized? It's all over the body. The other term used is localized, means it's one spot. If it is one spot, you can apply betadine also, or there are different creams available in the market you can apply. But if it is generalized, please go to a vet. Grayish form ho raha hai. Maya, don't watch this video. Please take them to a vet. I understand you're scared, there's vomiting happening, but don't ask me. At this point of time, you need to take your kid out to the vet right away. I cannot provide you a solution on this call. I am not a vet. I'm a pet parent just like you. And the most logical approach in this scenario is go to a vet. The final thing that I want to talk about today is pretty much about dental hygiene, right? That's something that people think of. Obviously, everybody thinks that we should brush the teeth of our dog just like we brush for humans, but we also know it is not easy, right? Most pet parents don't even have time to sit and brush the teeth, right? So what can you do instead? Right. The most easiest thing to do, give them a bone. If you are a vegetarian, you can give them a calcium bone that is available in the market. If you are a non-vegetarian, a mutton bone is good. There's also another bone that you can give, but I'm not going to say it on the video. But chicken bone doesn't work. Chicken bone is not good, but a mutton bone is good because the act of chewing in itself helps the dog to clean its gums, teeth, enamels. So by virtue of chewing, all of this can be taken care of. You don't necessarily need to brush their teeth. You also have Dentastix as a product available in the market. You can use that. Let them chew on it. It will take care of their dental hygiene. Other than this too, there is also dental liquids available in the market. One of the liquids that I use is this dental spray. You just have to spray it on the teeth and you should be fine. But other than this, you also have solubles that you can put in their water, and as they drink water, it also works on the teeth. Similarly, you have got dental powders available that you can put in their food, so as they chew the food, that powder works on the teeth. Brushing their teeth is not necessarily required if you follow the steps. The best thing is if you give them a bone, you're good. Voice of Voiceless, it's a great thing that you're doing by feeding street dogs. Please feel free to connect with me on my Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube channel if you need any guidance, any help, or how I can help you there. When your dog is in heat and doesn't clean herself and also refuses to wear a diaper, well, it's a matter of discipline and you ensuring that they wear a diaper. It takes a lot of practice and patience on a human's part. um, I have a female husky. She did not like to be wear diaper, and when I put a diaper, she used to chew that. So what I used to do was put a diaper, and then you get foldable pants that you can put on top of it to kind of safeguard the diaper. But when you put a diaper, keep in mind you need to change that every 3 to 4 hours, right? A diaper is not going to last for 24 hours. You can put a diaper in the night, one diaper, and change it again in the morning. But if it's in the daytime, you have to change the diaper a little more frequently. Obviously it is something that they don't like, so you will have to take a little patience and be, nice with them, pet them, treat them when they're doing that. It's a trick of using positive reinforcement to do that, to get them into the habit. So that's how you do it. It takes time. The other thing that you should think about is, why do you want them to be on heat? If you want them to breed, once or twice is fine. After that, please neuter them. It's not good to keep a dog or a female dog on heat all the time. Preventing hair fall, Vineet, I know a few people have asked. It depends on why the hair fall is happening. Some breeds, like a husky, they shed twice a year. I mean, they shed all the time, but twice a year they go through something called as blowing their coat, which basically means that they're shedding a lot more. It's natural. Whatever you do, bhaiya, it will not stop, right? So if their hair fall is because their skin are flaky, skin is dry, apply coconut oil or nice moisturizer, or you can get conditioners that are there in the market. Good shampoo you can use. The only thing with the shampoo that I recommend as a pet parent is, don't use a shampoo. Use a shampoo that is dye, paraben, sulfate, and alcohol free. Brand doesn't matter. As long as this 3 is not there, this 4 is not there, you're good. Shampoo. But if your dog is a furry breed like a husky, there is no prevention. There is no tip and trick to reduce the fall. It is all about you taking action. What do I mean by that? Groom them more, comb them daily, if not daily, once in 2 days. That's how you reduce the hair fall. So you don't wait for the hair to fall, you groom them regularly so that you're taking that. So that's how you take preventive action. That's the only thing you can do if it's a furry breed. If it's a breed that is shedding hair because of medical condition, identify what medical condition it is. Your vet should be able to tell you and guide you appropriately. But if it is because of dry skin, dogs also get dandruff, you can always use coconut oil, conditioners, or a good conditioning shampoo. Voice if voiceless, please reach out to me, send me a message, and we'll see what we can do for you. I think that's about it from what I wanted to cover today. But I'll kind of leave this open, and I've been doing that pretty much now, is answering questions that you have. So any questions that you have, I'll try to answer them. Can I give my dog boiled chicken with bones? Yes, you can give your dog boiled chicken with bones. Ensure that the bones are less, the meat is more, because with chicken, the reason why people say chicken bones are dangerous is because chicken bones, when broken, can become chipped and can get stuck or puncture internal organs. Can happen, but that doesn't mean you stop completely. Those are scenarios which happens when rare, not happens all the time. So you can give it. Ensure you give more meat, less bone, and you're good. Shornali Ganguly, how to make a lazy dog active. Identify why your dog is lazy. Can you tell me what breed they are before I answer your question? Yeah, some breeds are generally lazy. You see this guy, the bullshit guy, right? Sorry, uh, Beagle generally are lazy, um, and very adamant breed. You have to take action at your end to go take them for a walk. But if they're lazy, it could also be for a medical condition. So identify why they are lazy. If you can tell me what the breed is, I might be able to guide better. Pug. Pugs are generally lazy by nature, so that's fine. What you have to do is you have to ensure that you trick them. The way to trick them is get them to learn a game. I know my friends have pugs who love to play ball. So get them into the habit, let them go behind, run a ball. The best way to do that is tricking them by using a ball where there's a food inside. You can keep a food inside. And the most simple way to motivate your dog is to give them a treat that they hold a lot of value for. Right? Give them a treat that they enjoy a lot. Break that, put it into a ball, put it near them. The fact that they would try to remove that treat is exercise enough. They would not be lazy. Harsh, what breed is that your dog is that you're saying has so much hair fall? Keep in mind, if it's a furry breed, then the hair fall is supposed to happen. Um, our job as pet parents is to ensure we comb them a lot. Grooming is the first key to reducing hair fall. You don't wait for the hair to fall, you remove the hair by combing them a lot regularly. Make sense? Labrador, groom them a lot, also watch their diet. Unfortunately, Labrador as a breed is used to eating a lot. They unfortunately don't know when to stop. Um, they tend to, you give them whatever quantity they will eat, they hog, and that's the reason you would see Labrador as a breed tends to put on weight a lot faster. So it also depends on what they eat. So ensure you give them good food. What do I mean by good food? I mean good supplements. As I talked about earlier, turmeric, ashwagandha powder, coconut oil is very good. It also works and helps in better coat, so you can use that as supplements to your dog's food and groom them regularly. Giving, a lot of people, pet parents tend to give regular or too many bath to the Labradors or Retrievers. That's also could be a reason for hair fall. You should not be giving bath to them almost uh, you know twice a week, thrice a week. That's not generally 2 to 3 times or once a week. 2 to 3 times a month, once a week is a good schedule depending on the breed that you have. Too frequent a bath also has problem, increases hair fall, because there's something called as after bath shedding. Because when you're giving them a bath and shampooing, you're actually rubbing it out and ensuring whatever loose hair is there is coming out. So the most often than not, after shampooing and giving them a bath, there is something called as after bath shedding, where the shedding is higher. Yes, you can give boiled chicken to a lab daily, no sugar, nothing. Um, but ensure that the chicken is fresh, that you're doing for boiled. Add vegetables, turmeric, ashwagandha, coconut oil, edible coconut oil, parachute won't do, to the food, and maintain the quantity. Don't give them 1 kilo. Maintain quantity. Rice, yes, you can. Though I am a proponent more for chapati, roti is better. Same thing, humans, rice, weight loss, weight management के लिए they say don't eat too much rice, have chapati. Dogs पे भी same concept है भैया. So last 4 minutes, people, anybody has questions, please go ahead and I'll try to answer them the best. Milk to labs. Milk is a very dicey food. A lot of dogs nowadays, similar to humans, are getting lactic intolerant. So you can try giving milk and see how they react. If they vomit, if they fart, if their potty is loose after that, stop. Some dogs might be able to take it, you continue, but if you see where after having that they have loose motions, they're farting, they're vomiting, stop. Milk. Calcium as a syrup is good for dogs, definitely. So is omega-3. I recommend you give them, but look at what is a good brand. Check. Anytime you're in doubt about supplements and all that, check with a vet. Your vet should be able to tell you what is a good supplement for your dogs. Thank you, Deep, for liking today's session. You all can always connect and subscribe to my YouTube channel. My user ID is MOKSH0241. So youtube.com/MOKS0241. You should be able to subscribe. I do videos thrice a week about pet parenting. I also have a LinkedIn account where I post every day 3 videos, articles on pet parenting, things that I've learned on experience. So please join my LinkedIn or Facebook. Last 2 minutes. Any questions for me? And most of the things that I talked about today, I have created videos on them. How to feed your tablets, feed tablets to your dog, how to feed liquids to your dog, how to what foods to use like turmeric, ashwagandha, on that, what to do when your dog is stung by a bee, winter tips, all of that is out there on my YouTube, LinkedIn and Facebook channel. At what age does lab stop biting? And I'm assuming you're talking about when they are chewing because of teething. It should stop after they have got their teeth. Similar to human babies, when they are teething, they tend to bite. But if it is continuing after beyond that also, then you need to train them better. Your beagle is losing hair. Beagles unfortunately tend to get dandruff a lot. Dry skin, apply moisturizer. I know because see, sitting right behind, they tend to get a lot of dry skin, dandruff, so work on that. Beagles are also known to have digestive problems. They cannot digest food as good as other breeds, so you watch what you're giving them and food. Medicine for elbow hygroma. My friend Siddesh, I am not a vet. Please consult a vet on that. I have not, none of my pets have got anything like that, so I don't know. I'll be honest about it. Please go to a vet on that. Jitendra, you said he's so choosy about what? And sorry, I could not see. So he's an 8-month-old. Beagle is losing here. Yeah. Beagle by charactership, by their character are like that. They don't want to listen. They will argue with you. That's their nature. Unfortunately, the way to treat them is train them better. When it comes to training, and that was something was something that I was going to talk about. So when it comes to training your dog, you have to understand one thing. When you get a dog to your family, dogs were always pack animals. So when you get an animal to your family, you're telling the dog, you're part of my pack, which is good. But understand, when a dog thinks about a pack, they have a hierarchy. There's an alpha, there's a beta, there's a gamma. Who are you? Just because you're the human, don't anticipate or expect or assume that you are alpha by default. That's not necessarily true. Your dog decides who's the alpha. You can be an alpha based on how you act with the dog, right? If a dog in your family realizes there is no alpha, he will take the position. then he does whatever they want and you have to follow. So just because you're getting a dog, don't assume you're the alpha. But the good part is we humans are the food providers, so we can always use food to our advantage to make us the alpha or the beta. Becoming an alpha in the pack takes a lot of effort, practice, and knowledge. Connect with me separately and I can guide you on that. Becoming a beta is generally easier. You can always use food to manage it out. As long as the dog knows and respects you as the food owner, you would always be higher than your dog. So that's the scenario. Good food for beagle, depending on what you are. Chicken, meat, always good. But it's not about what you're feeding them, it's about how you feed them and how they look at you and react with you. If you are higher than your dog, then you will be able to make them listen to you. If you are lower than your dog, so you have a lot of hard work ahead of you to work up the ladder and become at a hierarchy that is more than your dog's hierarchy. Please feel free to message me, connect with me separately, because that's not something that I can cover here. Again, my YouTube channel is youtube.com/mox0241. So you can connect, subscribe to my channel or my LinkedIn. Thank you, Skymoon. So you can connect to my channel and see all the different articles, posts that I put about pet parenting. Okay, so we are 3 minutes past 6. I will give it one more minute. If anybody has any questions, please post it. 2 more minutes to go, and then I sign off. Any questions that you would have for me, I'll be more than happy to answer. Once again, I am Saurav Roy. I am a pet parent of 4. Have been having kids for... Sorry, my wife just corrected, pet parent of 5. How shameless of me. I have 5 kids. I stay in Meghalaya, Shillong, and I've been doing videos and everything on pet parenting for quite some time now. And it's all based on my experience and experiments with my kids. No, potatoes are not good for dogs. In moderation, little bit, fine. Too much, not good. Potatoes, onions, definitely not good. How to control dog jump? That's completely about how you train them. And alpha, please ping me separately or message me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. I can guide you better. How to make coat more smooth? Use conditioner, use coconut oil. That's what I talked about. Coconut oil is an amazing liquid to use. Again, when I say coconut oil, don't use Parachute. Edible coconut oil, if it is virgin and cold pressed, the better. Coconut oil is something that they can consume and you can apply topically also. It's a great moisturizer, antimicrobial, means bacterial, antifungal, antiviral, and all of that. So that's about it. Yes, you can give curd to your labs in winter, but again, as I said, similar to milk, curd also is something that they might not like. So watch and see how it is. Carrots is amazing for dogs. You can give them boiled, you can give them raw. It's amazing for dogs. But again, moderation. Don't give them 20 carrots together, or so 1 or 2 carrots a day is fine. Thanks everyone. It was great being live. Just to kind of tell you, this was my first live session that I've ever done in my life, and I was scared and nervous as hell. But this was a good experience, and it was good to have talked to all of you and answer your questions. Thank you, and hopefully we'll do it again. Bye bye.